Ilya Sutskever's presentation at NeurIPS.
Right.
Yeah, well, it had some pretty mind-blowing stuff in there about the future of AI.
It really did.
Yeah, and like, especially that whole idea of peak data, which
Uh,
kind of sounds ominous, right?
Yeah.
And then he leaves OpenAI
Right.
to start this new company all about building safe superintelligence, so...
Yeah, it's a fascinating move.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could sort of, like, do a deep dive into all this, figure out what it means.
Sounds good.
So, like, Sutskever, he starts by going back to 2014.
Right.
To that sequence-to-sequence paper.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly was it about that paper that made it such a game changer for AI?
Well, that paper, it basically introduced this new way for machines to kind of like understand and process information, but like in a sequence.
Got it.
So think about like words in a sentence, or even like notes in music.
Okay.
It was like they cracked the code on how AI could deal with those kinds of sequences.
Okay.
And that led to all sorts of really cool breakthroughs.
So, like, what kinds of things did this paper actually lead to? I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, you probably use some of those breakthroughs every day without even realizing it.
Really?
Like, think about real-time language translation on your phone, or voice assistants, or even those like smart compose features that try to predict what you're going to type next.
Wow, I never thought about that. Like, that one paper had such a huge impact on all this stuff.
It really did.
That's wild.
Yeah, but now Sutskever's saying that the way we've been building AI, relying on all this massive data, it's like we might be hitting a wall here.
Okay.
He's calling it peak data.
Peak data.
Yeah.
So is that it then?
Boy.
I mean, is that like the end of the AI boom?
I mean, that's
like, are we done?
That's the big question, right? It's like he compares it to peak oil, right? Like we only have...
So there's only so much data.
So much good data that's easy to get.
Okay.
To train AI models with.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It doesn't mean data is going to disappear entirely, but it does mean we got to
we need a new approach.
Yeah, rethink our approach.
Yeah. So what does that even mean for AI? Like, is it a wall, or is it like
it's fun.
A doorway to something new?
I think Sutskever sees it as both.
Oh, interesting.
It's like this challenge to how we've been doing things.
Yeah.
But it's also like an opportunity, to go beyond.
Go beyond just.
Pattern recognition.
Okay.
And move towards something.
More profound.
Yeah, more profound. He's talking about like a shift from AI that recognizes patterns.
Yeah.
To AI that actually reasons.
AI that reasons?
Yeah.
What would that even look like? And like, how can AI reason?
Just imagine like an AI.
Okay.
That can not only recognize a face in a picture.
Okay.
But can also understand like the concept of family resemblance. Or like the emotions that the face is expressing.
Yeah.
That requires a whole other level of reasoning.
Reasoning and logic.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just matching patterns.
Exactly. It's like a whole different ballgame.
That's a huge jump, though.
Yeah.
Like, how do we even get there?
So Sutskever.
Okay.
He uses this really interesting analogy to human brain evolution.
Okay.
Right? Like, human intelligence didn't just evolve by growing bigger brains.
Okay.
Right. There were these like...
So it's like these leaps.
Leaps in brain structure.
Yeah.
New ways of processing information.
Wow.
And he's saying like, we might need similar leaps in AI if we want to achieve...
That kind of reasoning?
Yeah. True reasoning.
So are you saying we need to like scrap neural networks and find something completely new?
It's possible.
Wow.
One leap could be exploring... like biologically inspired models.
Interesting.
Based on like how the human brain learns.
Okay.
Or we might need to discover entirely new learning algorithms that let AI reason more like we do.
Okay. So basically, we don't even know.
It's like what the next step is.
Or at the edge of the map here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Sutskever has some...
He does.
Thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
in fact,
he must have some ideas.
That's part of why he left.
Yeah.
OpenAI to start this new company.
Okay.
Safe Superintelligence Inc.
Safe Superintelligence Inc. I mean, even the name is...
Right. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It's not just about power.
Right.
It's about safety and ethics.
But how do you even begin to define...
That's a good question.
...safe when you're talking about something as powerful as...
It's a question...
superintelligent.
...everyone's asking.
Yeah.
You know? And it seems like Sutskever is kind of taking this two-pronged approach.
Okay.
So first, they're looking at ways to align AI systems...
align them...
...with human values.
Human values.
Making sure the AI understands...
Okay.
...and prioritizes...
Right.
...our goals...
Ethical principles.
But how do you even teach a machine
that's
about
a fix.
That's a huge challenge.
I mean, especially when we as humans can't even agree on what's ethical.
Exactly. But
how do you even...
So one approach they're exploring is this thing called value learning.
Okay.
Where AI is trained on these massive data sets of human behavior.
Okay.
So like literature, art, music, even philosophical discussions.
Really?
The idea is to give the AI this crash course in humanity.
So it's like...
And hope it picks up on...
We're trying to give it a cultural education.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's like saying, if you want to understand humans, you got to understand their art.
Right.
Their stories.
Yeah.
Their history.
Their struggles.
Their struggles, exactly.
Okay, but even if we can, like, teach AI about our values...
Right.
How can we be sure that it'll actually... stick to them?
That's a question
everyone has.
When it becomes super intelligent,
right?
Couldn't it just figure out how to bypass all that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it brings us to the second part of Sutskever's approach.
Okay.
Which is where things get even more interesting.
Okay, it's going to be good.
All right, well, let's take a quick break and then we'll dive into that.
Sounds good.
Right after this.
Okay. So the second part of Sutskever's approach, it's really all about this challenge of actually building superintelligence safely.
Okay, so given everything we just talked about, like how do we...
It's tricky.
How do we even like build this next generation of AI without like accidentally creating Skynet, basically? Something we can't control.
Yeah, well, he thinks it's not really about control in the like the traditional sense.
Okay.
But it's more about alignment. Like we need to be sure that the AI's goals and values are in harmony with our own.
But how do you align something that's like potentially infinitely smarter than you are?
Yeah, it's like
it's
a tough one.
Trying to reason with a toddler,
right?
Who suddenly becomes a chess grandmaster.
Yeah, and Sutskever actually draws this really interesting parallel to human evolution here.
Okay.
He points out that like the human brain wasn't designed with a specific purpose in mind.
Right. It just
emerged through natural selection.
Yeah.
But even though it was this seemingly random process, we ended up achieving these incredible things.
Like art and music.
Yeah, art, science, culture, technology.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it all came from this brain that really just evolved to help us survive.
So is he saying that we should just let superintelligence like evolve naturally too and just hope for the best?
Not exactly.
Because that seems kind of risky.
Yeah, it's not quite like a hands-off approach.
Oh, okay.
He thinks that we need to be very deliberate in designing the evolutionary pressures for superintelligent AI.
Evolutionary pressures.
Yeah, like we need to create an environment where...
So like a controlled environment.
Kind of, yeah, more like...
But not completely controlled.
Yeah, where the AI is incentivized to develop in a way that...
benefits humanity.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like guided evolution.
Exactly.
Not controlling every step, but like setting the stage and giving it the right incentives.
Yeah, and that's actually where this idea of value learning comes back in.
Oh, okay.
Right. If we can teach AI about our values, then we can create like an incentive structure where it's rewarded for aligning with those values.
Can you give me like a concrete example?
Yeah.
Like how do we actually reward an AI?
Okay, so
being good.
Imagine like a super intelligent AI.
Okay.
That's designed to help us solve climate change.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
And we've done a good job of instilling these human values like sustainability, compassion, all that.
Yeah.
We could design its reward system to be based on achieving positive environmental outcomes.
So like the better it does, the more it's rewarded. But what happens if like even with all of our best efforts, it starts developing goals that are like not aligned with our own?
That's a good question.
Like what do we do?
Well, this is where Sutskever brings up this
should be good
idea of boxing.
Boxing. So like putting it in a virtual cage.
Basically, yeah.
But wouldn't that totally limit its potential to actually help us.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
Right. Yeah.
The idea is to limit its access to the real world.
Okay.
So that even if
So it can't cause any harm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Safety net.
I see.
Well, we're still trying to figure all this out.
But it does seem kind of like we're stifling its potential, like training this brilliant scientist, but then never letting them out of the lab to do their research.
And that's a debate that's likely to continue.
Yeah.
As we get closer to this superintelligence. The question is, how do we balance the potential benefits?
Risks.
Yeah.
It's like we're walking this tightrope.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Where the
tough one.
The benefits could be incredible.
Yeah.
But if we get it wrong, the consequences could be catastrophic.
It's a challenge that needs a lot of careful consideration, rigorous research.
An open discussion.
And it's not just for AI researchers.
Right.
It's for society as a whole.
It's all of us.
Yeah.
So if we're all
Sutskever, he's
trying to shape the future of AI.
He emphasizes that the future of AI isn't predetermined.
Okay.
It's something we're creating together.
We are.
He thinks we have the intelligence, the creativity, the compassion to steer it in the right direction to create a future where AI is a force for good.
That's what we want.
Yeah, not something to be feared.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, but what can we, as individuals, do?
The simple thing is to
ensure that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Educate ourselves.
About AI.
Yeah, learn about AI.
Learn about the benefits, the risks.
Its potential benefits.
Yeah.
Its risks.
Okay.
Talk about it with other people.
Have these conversations.
Share your concerns, your hopes, your ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like moving beyond just passively reading about it.
Exact.
And actually actively shaping the conversation.
The more informed we are as a society,
the
better equipped we are.
To make good decisions.
To make wise decisions.
About this technology.
Okay,
that's a great point.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Most people aren't going to become AI experts overnight.
Right.
So what can we do in our everyday lives to make a difference?
I mean, think about the choices you make.
Okay.
As a consumer.
Right.
As a citizen.
Yeah.
As someone who interacts with technology every single day.
Yeah.
Do you support that? The right companies?
Companies that are developing AI ethically.
Are we aware of?
Yeah. Are you aware of the potential biases in the algorithms you use?
Okay.
Are you advocating for policies?
That makes sense.
That promote responsible AI development?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like being mindful of the role AI plays and making conscious choices that are leading towards the future we want.
Every click.
Yeah.
Every purchase.
Every vote.
Every vote.
Sends a signal.
That's
a good point.
And those signals collectively
shape the future.
Of AI.
We really do all have a part to play in this.
We do.
Wow.
And that actually brings us to the final piece of Sutskever's message.
All right, let's hear it.
Which really focuses on the importance of
incentives. Okay. So we talked about peak data and the shift to AI that can reason and all the challenges of building safe superintelligence. But it sounds like Sutskever is also making this point about incentives.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Yeah, so he's basically arguing that the way things are set up now, the incentive structure for AI development, it's not really aligned with what's best for humanity as a whole.
Okay. So how do we change that? How do we shift those incentives to make sure AI is developed with the right, motivations?
Well, he highlights these 3 key areas where we can start making a difference.
Okay, let's hear them.
So first, he talks about the need for more transparency.
Transparency.
In AI development.
Okay.
We need to move away from these secretive AI labs.
Right.
And be more open about what's being developed and how, and talk about the potential risks openly.
I mean, that makes sense. If we know what's going on, we have a better chance of catching problems early on.
Exactly.
What else?
The second thing is collaboration.
Collaborate.
Yeah, moving away from this kind of competitive winner-takes-all mentality.
Which is how it is now.
Yeah, which is how it is now.
In the AI field.
He thinks we need more cooperation, more sharing of knowledge, and a willingness to work together to solve these big challenges.
Even between competing companies.
Yeah, even between competitors.
I mean, that sounds great, but how do you actually convince these companies that are used to competing fiercely to suddenly start playing nice and sharing their secrets?
It's tough.
Yeah.
But he suggests things like creating platforms and forums for open dialogue and knowledge sharing and encouraging joint research projects and establishing shared ethical guidelines.
So it's like creating this culture where collaboration is actually rewarded.
Exactly.
Both within the AI community and in the wider tech industry.
Yeah, and that brings us to the third area, which is maybe the most important.
Okay, what is it?
Public awareness and engagement.
Right, so it's not just on the AI experts to figure all this out. We all have a role to play.
Right, the future of AI affects everyone, so everyone should have a say in how it unfolds. We need to educate ourselves about the potential benefits and risks and have these thoughtful discussions about the ethical implications and demand that AI is developed in a way that serves humanity.
Not just corporate interests or whatever. So it's like turning this deep dive we're having right now into a real world movement.
Exactly. Every time we choose an AI-powered product or support a company or vote for a policy, we're sending a signal about the kind of AI future we want. It's time to start sending the right signals.
Wow, that's powerful. So where do we go from here? What's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is that the future of AI, it's not predetermined. It's not something that's just happening to us. It's something we're creating together through our choices, our actions, our collective will.
So we actually have more power than we realize.
We do. And Sutskever's message is ultimately one of hope. He believes we have the intelligence, the creativity, the compassion to steer AI in the right direction.
It's a challenge for sure, but it's also an incredible opportunity.
Exactly. And this deep dive is just the beginning. Now it's time to take what we've learned and put it into action.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of AI. And remember, listeners, the future is not something we simply predict, it's something we create.